MKE, uncut, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on HittingHardRadio.com. Real topics, real news you can use, you dig? You can also catch us at the Post of the City page on Meta or Facebook or HittingHardRadio.com.
Pitch Control.
The Morning Shift MKE uncut on HittingHardRadio.com.
Let me ask you something. Would you like to build a podcast? And if you have one built, wouldn't you like to get as much exposure for it as possible? Because HittingHardRadio.com is plugging local and national podcasters with the opportunity for more web and radio exposure. With our staff of cameramen and audio experts, we supply the technical tools needed for your podcast to reach a much wider audience. Now, you have a studio set location and access to professionals using professional equipment to film and record your show. And you get to go and upload it wherever you want. But I bet you're wondering how much all this top-notch access will cost you. Well, that's the special part, $60 an hour. That's right. You can access our studio, our staff members, and our equipment for $60 an hour to film and record your podcast. So let me ask you again. Would you like to build a podcast? Good. Call 414-366-7102. That's 414-366-7102 to make an appointment with Eleazar Maldonado to get you started.
Total Request Entertainment. Our mission is to cover your total requests. When you look to contract a DJ service, make sure they have all the moving parts that is required to do the job. Make sure they're able to meet or talk with you as many times as necessary to make you feel comfortable. Make sure they have backup equipment. Make sure that they have insurance that will cover your venue's requirements. Make sure that they can do a walkthrough of your venue to supply adequate equipment. Can your DJ supply ceremony microphones for the officiant, the bride, and the groom? Do they have battery-operated equipment to be out in the field where there is no power? Make sure that they can handle preceding ceremony music, processional and recessional. Announce the grand entrance and entire bridal party. Do you need an experience and not just some guy that's going to play a playlist? Make sure that you hire someone that can get the job done and take care of your every total request. We are Total Request Entertainment. For booking and contact information, call Eleazar Maldonado at 414-366-7102. 414-366-7102. Or visit the website at TotalRequestENT.com.
Assalamualaikum. I am Sister Rebecca.
Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the Milwaukee Islamic Dawah Center.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Yamin Talib Muhammad.
My name is Doris White. I've been with the Dawah Center for about 15 years. Okay. Yogurt.
Since 2017, our food pantry program continues to reach to thousands of families and individuals. In 2021, we distributed over 1 million pounds of food and impacted over 100,000 individuals.
We've been serving our community for years with our pantry.
We have a pantry here on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
We were awarded a $30,000 grant to purchase a 27-foot truck, as you see here, 27-footer, as well as a 17-footer over here that we use to provide food services throughout the city of Milwaukee County. With the help of Allah and a great team of volunteers, our pantry continues to combat food insecurity in our community.
Everybody like it. They love it. And not only like it, they love it. A lot of the same people, a lot of new people. And we see a lot of new people when we are on Hampton. That's when we see a lot of new people, but mostly the same people here. Every third Wednesday of the month, they give a big giveaway. We even give twice as what you see today.
The donations that you have given and continue to give us fuel the work that we do. And we can't say thank you enough. Assalamualaikum.
May Allah reward you and your families for your continued support in this life at the next. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak.
What you doing still in bed, man? Yo, you need to punch in for that Morning Shift MKE with Sayer right here on HittingHardRadio.com exclusively from 10 to 2 p.m. Check it out, man. Listen out.
Welcome. Good morning, Grand Risings.
Man, Assalamu alaikum to all my Muslim brothers and sisters. All the things that you say to the folks you rock with in the morning after you brush your teeth and wash your face. And give me just a second. I'm adjusting the mic so everybody can hear. Still ain't getting no sound over there?
Gotcha.
Okay, give me a minute. I'll get it fixed. But let me get you introduced. As y'all can see, we got my man in the building, Vince Tony.
What's up?
It's post-elections, but he's still out here working. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about this. We're going to catch up, and we're going to find out what's going on and what's next. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. Man, so it's all over now as far as the elections. Well, they got another one coming up,
Well,
though, don't they?
We say it's all over, and it's over for a very short period of time because this is like an interim election. So next year is the actual election cycle. So everybody will be running again. The president and all the other positions, and locally, there'll be an election for that. I can hear it now. Now it's gone. Got you. Yes.
Yeah, you got it now.
Yep.
All right, you can continue.
No, and so the irony is that it was a hard-fought race, if you will, in terms of, getting out there and seeing what people were doing and what they're thinking and how they're thinking. I think one of the takeaways that I've gotten from it is that there's been a kind of a disenfranchisement of people in the community who want to participate in our elections, as we can see by the low voter turnout. However, I think there is a remedy, and the remedy is that we've got groups that I think what's his name, Greg Lewis, Get Out to Vote, and all these other different organizations that we have in the community, that if they are really concerned about elections and getting people to vote, it starts now. It doesn't start 2 or 3 months or the week before the election to talk about and organize getting people to the polls. I think one of the highlights that I take is David Bowen's concession letter, if you will, where he mentioned that there were 10 ballots that were not counted. He only lost by 17 votes, is what my understanding. There were 20, in his letter, there were 20, he states that there were 20 absentee voters were originally given the wrong ballot. And it said by election day, 7 out of 20 voters who received ballots did not return to vote. So my question would be, if we're really concerned in the district and the city about people voting, should not some of these issues be addressed? And should there not be an audit? If there's some discrepancies like this, then should there be an audit? Where are those ballots? Who are those people? And why did they choose not to vote? And I think as a community, that's something that we should be looking into with these organizations. We're really concerned about getting good quality leadership in the community. These are areas that need to be addressed. And I think the people that I've talked to, hundreds of people, thousands of people that I've talked to in this, like I said, I ran in 2016, 2020, and now 2023. What's going to happen in 2024 next year, I'm not really sure. I haven't planned that out yet, but I am looking into some things. But people are saying that they need participation, and nothing's changing in the city. They're seeing the same things, crime and everything else is going on.
I was wondering that, like, when it came out with those numbers, the low numbers like that, even the numbers you gave me a little while ago, I was like, with a number that low, I would think in my ignorant mind that the election committee would automatically recount or do something, you know what I mean? Because that's just too low of a number to feel comfortable with.
Yeah, and he whatever they told Mr. Bowen, he was in agreement, and he didn't want to go any further with it. And they also told me, I don't know if I'm going to go any further with it, but I called the election commission. They were supposed to contact me and let me know how many votes I received as an absentee on the ballot. And I called them, and the lady came back to the phone, and she says 20. I found that number to be extremely low.
Right.
So I have some questions about that. I think in the scheme of things, and in the end result, my thought is that from my experience, this experience particularly, I think although I would never vote for Donald Trump, I think he got two things right. There are some discrepancies with our election officials and the whole system. and the media is fake, and they don't report the news in a way that's conducive to us becoming a better people. It seems like what they want to report is the negative stuff. I think so. For this election, to me, it's a perfect opportunity for all four of those news channels to say, hey, here's what's out here. You're responsible for reporting the news. None of them reported me. I think I told you before, there was a situation where Andrea Pratt was being interviewed, and I went over there. Somebody called me and said that I went over there, interviewed me, but they didn't air mine, they aired hers. So if there's another candidate out there, and clearly on the ballot it says write-in candidate, so why aren't they, as a overseer of knowledge and information, getting this information to the people so they can make an informed decision about who's out there? So they don't even know. So and some of the one of the radio stations, television station actually hung up on me and said they had something more important to do, which was there was a shooting and some high-speed chase or something like that. So
something more entertaining. They need more drama. They need more suspense. They need to be, and to me, what I've summed it up to be is subliminally they're sending a message to our community: is this is what we want you to see, and this is what we want you to think, and how we want you to feel. And that works. Subliminal messaging works, especially when it comes for the media, and then we only have so many outlets. So I said that to say this, is that in our community, specifically the Black community, we need a voice of news that reports the news, the raw news, and not taper it or skew it towards one direction or another. We need the raw facts, and we're not getting the raw facts. And I think it would be nice in our community if we had our own news outlet that we can go to. I mean, something like this, and I also mentioned Kevin Barnes from Outlaw Radio. Shout out, Kev.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin, and institutions and organizations like that are not afraid to report the truth, the exact truth, and nothing but the truth, and allow us to be, as the people in the city, to make our decision based on good information. We're not getting good information through the outlets that we have in this city, and in my opinion, it's just we've had too many organizations and people within the city of Milwaukee who have been compromised.
Yeah, I be so out of tune with what's going on because I don't buy it. That I think yesterday I just found out Trump was in jail.
Which Trump?
They said he going to jail or something. That's just how much attention I be paying because it just be when I tune in. The stuff they be doing be like what I said. It be the thrill and stuff, the entertaining stuff, and they lose my attention. And then when they talking about something that's important, they done already lost my attention. I'm somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I've got notifications on my phone where I get random stuff that comes up about the news, and it's just raw facts. I don't, I can cipher through and get what information I need. I don't need, to turn in. A matter of fact, I'm boycotting all four of the local TV stations. I'll never watch the news again if I don't have to. The disservice that they've done for me and that they did to the community is unforgivable. For
Social media have it all first anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I can't support any of them based upon the experience that I've had with them. Right. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense, man. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but I think, with the election, I think I don't know when we really started trusting the government to do the right thing and to give us the raw facts. I think there's always a level of scrutiny that they use and to not give us the information that we need to be able to make informed decisions. So
yeah. We was just like watching a show last night before we left the studio, that Judas the Messiah or something like that, Chairman Fred Hampton story. And I was watching this show and I got to thinking, like even with that show and other shows, like we got all this history of the games they done played, the moves they done put down. And we keep believing these folks and we keep falling for the same play over and over again.
Yeah. I'm reading a book right now, and I just got into it, and it's called The Theory of Everything. So the gist of it, I only got through a few pages of it yet, but the gist of it that I've got is that life is inexcusable right now, And one of the examples they gave of historically, the Chinese, they lived in China. They have Chinese families. They did everything Chinese. But right now we have access to everything that you would want to have access to. It's inexcusable to not know anything that you want to know in this entire world. So I'm not sure what's going to take place in the rest of the book, but a theory of everything. We have access to everything that we need to be able to be whatever we want to be in this world.
And still don't tap in.
And still don't tap in. So within our community, I mean, we've got this cell phone where you can pull up. I mean, it's inexcusable why we don't capture what's going on within our community, within our neighborhood, and we're not sharing information, and we're not trying to be a better people, and to gauge which direction the world and society is going, and to be able to be in a position to take advantage of what's coming next. Example, go from the agriculture to industry to service and now technology. So where are we going next, and what are we going to do? And I think, within our community, where's the leadership out here, and the men and the women for that matter, but I'm a man, so I can speak from a male's perspective. Where are we at in helping our young men to be able to transition to wherever the world is going, versus what we're seeing here with the erratic driving and the accidents and things of that nature, and to understand that and what we're seeing, and the fact that no one has any answers. There are answers to and solutions to the problems that we're having with these kids. And unfortunately, it's not a short-term answer. It's a long-term answer. And the long-term answer is that these children have been conditioned for the first 5 and 10 years of their lives to be a certain way. And the conditioning and to how the effect that has on a young mind or a brain, these kids, and they say, well, they keep doing the driving. Well, that's all that they know when they've been set in front of a joystick and a computer monitor, and they're driving down the street. So what is it going to take? And I think I saw one of the new alderpersons on television last night, and she was asked a question about the driving, and she really didn't give a definitive answer as to what should be done or could be done. What has to be done, and the only solution, is that men have to step up and start taking care of our women and our children as men, not as boys. So we've had 4 or 5 decades of teenage pregnancy. So how do we intervene into that situation and to help those mothers and the children of those mothers, which we are now seeing? It's been a buildup of that many years that we've now seen these people that are becoming young adults and teenagers that are in the world, that are doing some of the things that we are opposed to, and that are causing havoc, the shootings, the killings. This just didn't happen overnight. Like I said, I've been in child protective services. I've been in these houses. I've seen these mothers. I've seen no men around. I've seen these kids in front of joysticks. I've seen them cussing. I've seen all of this. And I've been in high school. So you go into the high school, all you hear is profanity. So there has to be a reversal of morals, meaning we have to go backwards to go forward. We have to go back and figure out, where did the divide start, where we stopped loving our babies? Because we say that these are whatever they are, and what's wrong with these kids? There's nothing wrong with these kids. They've just been nurtured improperly. They haven't been loved. They've been conditioned to be in a situation, where you sit around the house, you see your parents smoking marijuana, you see friends come over smoking marijuana. There's just a lot of dysfunctional behavior that's going on within households that are conducive to what we're seeing in society today. And if that doesn't change, then it's only going to get worse unless women in the black community stop having babies. That's the only way it's going to die out, because if these kids continue to see what they're seeing, they're going to continue to do what they're doing. And the bigger problem, and one of the bigger pictures, is education. Is that, and you go into these schools, these high schools and these grade schools, and you see a level of dysfunction that should be, I don't know what MPS or anybody else is doing to change that. So we've got a lot of work to do, and it's going to take more than a grant from the government, from 401 for Life, or grant from, Office of Violence Prevention. It's going to take more than grants, because if we look over history and over time, grants really have not been done anything of significance that's changed our community for the better, which I think if we look back and if there were an audit done, there probably been billions of dollars, at least $1 billion, close to $1 billion.
Why hasn't there been an audit? Like,
why would you want to be audited when you're part of the game?
yeah, true that.
Yeah. So if I'm getting money, why would I want to mess up my money? But in the scheme of things, is that money is directed towards a project that's supposed to help the community and the African American community primarily. I mean, that's what we're concerned with, and I don't see the effect of those dollars having made a difference in our community. The dollars that have been spent, even through, I mean, I work for Child Protective Services, I work for Running Rebels, and I've seen the transitions, and I've seen the individuals in those systems, and I've looked at the outcomes, and I have direct experience with that, and those are some of the areas that we failed in, because when we've got kids that have been in these systems and at 18 years old, then they say, hey, you hit that magic number, the money cut off, we ain't got nothing else for you.
Right, see you later, bye.
Yeah, and then we talk about mental health. So now you got a 18-year-old who the system has taken care of through his mother welfare, through grants or whatever programming that he's had at 18. That's it. Ain't no more money for you. Adios, amigo. So now we've got, and I think I've heard Office of Violence Prevention mention some months ago that the average age of some of the erratic driving is 26 and 29 years old. Well, where are the services for those individuals if that's the problem? If that's the root cause of the problem, why are we directing monies towards the ages from 13 to 18? Where are the services, mental health services and other services for that, to fill that gap from 18 to 30 or whatever ages that are being affiliated with this criminal element that we see in the city?
Like they could talk to psych once we get them in Dodge.
Yeah, that's sad.
You know what I mean? That's how they feel. In my eyes, it ain't a solution, but they got a whole lot of treatment for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got so much treatment in these institutions that's gonna get us paid.
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to a brother yesterday that was driving down my block. I mean, you talking about what am I doing? Well, I'm hasn't stopped, but I neglected my elders for about a week, right? And I called them last week, and they're like, "Where you paying? We need my grass cut. I need some groceries." And I went and cut one of my elders' grass. She has an adult nephew that lives with her. That I didn't question it because she's asking me to do it.
Right.
But I flagged. I'm doing some yard work, and I see a brother ride by, and he's got a lawnmower in the back of his truck, and I wave him down, because she needs some help. I can't do it every twice a month, and the brother said, well, he's probably getting ready to dissolve his lawnmower in business because he just got a job at the House of Corrections, and he says they're down over 100 officers or whatever those positions are concerned. So what does that tell me as a concerned citizen? It tells me that the focus is on supply and demand. We expect an increase of people coming into these walls, so we need to increase our staff. Even though we've been low, but the low staff hasn't necessarily been a problem, but now we have an increase in.
About to get summertime. It's about to heat up.
And so I say, where are, and we getting back to the election, at the beginning in December, I wrote a letter to all 11 candidates, and I said, hey, at the end of the day, it's the end of the day. Andrea Pratt is the alderwoman. The 10 of us need to be together and meet and keep her in line to what the constituents want. Still haven't heard from her or any other of these individuals. So if I do anything for the next year election, it would be out and say, hey, if people only, and this is what I've been hearing, this is the message to the people in District 1. They're saying that the only time we hear from you is when they're in election. I asked these people back in December, let's do this. None of them replied. Our constituents are saying this is the problem. So what you're telling me, you want to come out and you want to run for election, but then you want to disappear. and not do anything and not get together. And I think that the one thing that we can do, because Alderman Hamilton quit on us, he was doing a lousy job when he was in the office, and now we've got somebody else that's in there that nobody's taking control over. And I've looked through the campaign finance reports. When I see Abe Lee and I see the Daniels and I see other people that are part of the social services, Northwest Side CDC, and some of these other organizations, 30th Street Corridor, when I see contributors to these campaigns, I see more of the same. So I don't know if people are delving deep into what's going on, but there's...
So I've never looked at a campaign donor statement or whatever you call it even. Like, I was just a few weeks ago, an article came out where they released information that Barada Properties was like one of Lena's biggest donors and things like that. And I always wondered, like, I would like to actually just do this once. I would like you to come back up here with them papers and let's go over them and let's explain to the community what we looking at, what they is, how to read them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And understand those things, because these are things that normally we ain't learning.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And when we talk about all of these organizations that get out to vote, give me a reason to go vote. If you're telling me that Abe Lee contributed $712,000 to David Crawley, I don't know exactly how much he spent on Cavalier, but he put some money into Andrea Pratt. So
somebody gonna have to give me the game. I need some of this money, but you can't tell me what to do with it once you give it to me. It's mine.
Then you know what? You better stay behind that mountain, because you're not in the house. You got to be in the house to get that one. I thought in the beginning, all jokes aside, jokes not aside, but I thought about in the beginning. I said, hey, maybe I'll call up Crawley and say, hey, can you give me the Abe Lee hookup? You know what I mean? And
hey, show me this money, man.
Help the brother out. But I can't, I'm not a conformist.
Right.
So I get up in there and say, no, that ain't what we gave you that money for. I said, I told you I'm not going to do what you told me to do.
They going to want their money back from me right away.
They're not even going to give me no money.
Hey, I done owed a lot of people before, man. Catch me. Oh man, what I see, I was on your page. I see, like you said, you was checking up with your elders, getting out, doing some shopping, some yard works and things like that.
Getting ready for golf season.
How the community, how they hugging on you? What's the talk out there?
Don't know exactly what the talk is, and that really haven't gone out there. But I did get some a long email and some whatever, and people keep telling me do it again, whatever. It's been I'm kind of a loner, so I'm like to myself, and I don't deal with a lot of people. But some of the calls and things of that nature that I got was very humbling, is what I'll say, and the fact that they want me to keep doing it, and I have to say that I don't know. It's something that that I'm in meditation about.
Okay.
Because I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I'll give you an example. Kind of winding down. I went out there like on a Sunday or a Monday just before the election, and I ran into this lady. She reminded me of someone else that last year one of my elders passed away. I used to go over her house and she had oxygen, so every Wednesday I would go over her house and empty her trash. And so I go to this lady's house, and she comes out and she looks like her because she got this oxygen in her nose. And we start talking, and we look over across the street, which I drive up, and it's like a collage. They must have just had a memorial. Something happened because there was like liquor bottles, stacked 10 deep around this tree, and houses that were nasty. And she was genuinely concerned about it, right? And I drove away, and I went back to her house, and I rung the doorbell, and her son, which I'll talk about on Facebook and at some point in time, her son answered and said this, that, and the other. And we started talking. And long story short, that week I called the Department of Neighborhood Services, and I called Neighborhood Services, and they're telling me where I have to go to get, if it's in the street, it's the Department of transportation or whatever. But if it's in the yard, it's somebody else I have to call. So I have to imagine and put myself in my elder's shoes and saying, if I got this problem in my neighborhood, and just think how confusing it is when you're on the phone and you're an elder and you're trying to direct people and they're trying to tell you what to do about a problem that you have in your neighborhood with this garbage. And this lady has been in this neighborhood, and her son says, for over 40, 30 some odd years. And why does she? And he said he's gonna contemplating moving his mother to Mequon somewhere so she can have a quality of life. Well, why does she have to move, and why can't she have a quality of life in the neighborhood that she owns and her son owns a home? And he's saying how it's deteriorated and how she has to listen to this loud music. And these are the things that we aren't addressing in the community, the quality of life for our children and our elders. So how can we expect anything to change when the quality of life is deteriorating?
Right.
Yeah, it's a shame. And
I can remember when I was young and coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we was on the east side at the time. Like, I done been all over the city. My mother was one of the mothers that did a lot of moving. We didn't get evicted. She just did a lot of moving. Yeah. You know what I mean? So a big portion of my life was on the east side. Mm-hmm. One point in time, I could tell you who everybody was in every house, 3 blocks in both directions, mm-hmm. and maybe a block around the corner.
Yep.
You know what I mean? People was in the neighborhood. We had the gangs, the drugs, mm-hmm. all that, but it just worked it different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, Miss Hale come out her house, we wasn't standing in front of her house. You know what I mean? We wasn't hanging on her gate, and we wasn't doing all that. Mm-mm. If she pulled up and had groceries coming in, somebody gonna go over there, help her take them in the house, all that. Like, it just was different. Mm-hmm. So even with us doing wrong,
you did right.
We was respectful enough to where they tolerated us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So to say, like, the police come on the block harassing us, they'd come out and harass the police. What you doing with that baby? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
These days, the police come on the block sweating you. Hey, now them folks in the window cheering for him and get his ass.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it done got different, man. Yeah. People won't move out Miss Betsy way. You know what I mean? She in their way. She done owned this house longer than you been over here.
Yeah.
But she in your way.
Yeah. And I think that's just decades of dysfunctions within households. And this is the result of welfare, the result of crack cocaine, and the result of teenage pregnancy. And it's that simple. So how do we go back and look at these things? Well, first of all, we have to define and say exactly what the problem is. And we have to also look at all the resources that we've thrown at all of these problems and say, hey, do the research. What does the evidence say that what worked and what didn't work? So no one's saying all of these different programs, even to the point right now where we've got the Office of Violence Prevention, we've got a new leadership there, Ashanti Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Well, the young lady got fired because she didn't give any data. Well, where's the data from Office of Violence Prevention right now that's going to say that what you're doing is effective or ineffective? And if it's ineffective, and I'm not saying anything against anybody, I'm saying if we have data, then we know which direction to go.
So that's why she was gone. She was gone quicker than I could reach out.
Well, I reached out to her, and I reached out in 2016 when Reggie Moore, got the position. I reached out to him. Brother never got back to me because I looked at the Blueprint for Peace, and I said, hey, if this is what you guys are going to implement, I can see a definitive change in Milwaukee.
Hey, I was cracking a joke some time ago, right? Because I can remember a time when nobody didn't like Reggie when he was running the Office of Violence Prevention. Like, mm-hmm. It was a lot going on Facebook. But as soon as they cut them a check and they was in control of giving out some money,
shut up.
A lot of the people who I know for, I was seeing your posts.
Mm-hmm. Where you at now?
Yeah. The whole game changed when he got to the paper. They was trying to be his friend.
Because that's how you control it. It's called being the gatekeeper of the money. You got the money. You can't talk down the pocketbook. If you do, you don't get none of the bread, right? So But when he quit, he didn't get fired. They gave him a nice position up to, was it Milwaukee Medical College?
Yeah.
Why didn't she get the same treatment? He didn't give out any data that was substantial. Neither is Ashanti Hamilton. So what are these organizations? Where are all these monies going, and who are they giving it to? And what are the outcomes? That's the data that we need to be able to sit down and say, hey, here's what's going on, and here's what's working, and then get the community involved and say, yeah, maybe we need to defund City Hall. Maybe we need to defund Office of Violence Prevention. Maybe we need to defund some other of these programs out here, and put the money where it's going to work. And whoever gets the money are going to have to give us some evidence-based statistics and data on what happened, what you did, and how the money was spent from every penny. We want to see your income statement and your balance sheet, what came in and what went out, and where and who to. That's what they're not giving us.
And I guess if everybody's stealing something, can't nobody tell nothing, huh?
Well, that's what we have the government.
They gotta wait till somebody get caught and then take a plea.
Well, that's what we got the mayor's office for in the common council. They should be advocating for the people in the community. What do my people want? I'm telling you what I want. I want data. I want me to tell you where all this money is going, or get me some of it.
Man, hey, this gonna turn into a blockbuster movie. Somebody find out where this money is.
Hey, I'll take some of that money if I don't have to do nothing. I give them nothing back.
It's gonna be a Born Identity 6 episode.
The minute they give me some of that grant dollars, that's what I'm gonna say. Well, we don't need to know what you're doing with it, Mr. Tony. I say, well, you ain't asked nobody else. Why me? I just want to spend it.
I'm using it.
I want a Mercedes.
Oh man. Yeah, one day we're gonna learn how to get the money, man.
Oh,
but I already know.
Legitimately.
Right.
And now here's all crap aside. In the best interest of our elders and our children, when that money's put out there to be able to take care of them and to do something to give them a better quality of life, to help our children, to negate this dysfunctional behavior. That's when the seriousness comes in. So all jokes aside, this is about our children, and this is about our community, and this is about our elders. You just mentioned the disrespect of her. She's been on this block. We don't do that, and we shouldn't be doing that. Right. And these are the monies that are being spent in our community to divert those type of behaviors, but they seem to be getting worse. So what's going on, and how do we fix that? Because this is their future.
And I used to run a store over on Villard, and had an elder lady in there, and then this younger girl in there with her shorty. He probably about 4. Mm-hmm. Nah, he was a little older than 4 because the lady asked why the baby wasn't in school or something. You know, you know how older ladies see a kid doing school. I bet why you ain't in school, something like that. And you know, they made their purchases, but as the elder lady left, I'm listening at the young lady, and she ain't necessarily responding to her, but in regards to it, and like, that's their damn problem. Always worried about somebody else, and like, she was just irritated by this lady asking why the baby wasn't in school.
Okay, and to that point, right? The baby's witnessing the mother's behavior.
Yeah.
So they emulate that. So a child, and we are products of our environment. So when we say, what's wrong with these kids? What was wrong with their environment that they grew up in? Was their mother walking around the house calling everybody an MF, and your daddy ain't nothing but this, that, and the other, and disrespecting the grandparents? So there's a level of disrespect in the hierarchy in the black community is why we're seeing all of this, because that was totally disrespectful for her to say that, especially in front of a child. And you know that we are taught in our community, and we're supposed to say not community, but our village. In the village, you don't disrespect the elders, period. Right? So there should have been somebody that popped her upside of the head and then went to that kid and say, hey, no, this is not the way we do it. We respect this elder, and this is why he's not in school.
It's like we done turned into, remember a time we used to go to the grocery store or somewhere, and we'd see the little white family in there, and the kids falling out, kicking cereal off the shelves, just acting a fool in the aisle because mama won't do something. Hey, that's kind of like how the black community done turned to the whole public, like the whole public watching us throw a tantrum.
Yep. That's a shame. Yeah, I've seen it, and we go in Walmart, you'll see it time and time again. I don't care, shoot. I don't care how, no. And we have to stop and help men and women. We have to start helping each other and we have to get to the point where we allow someone to come up to you when you see this lady and this young lady disrespect the elder, somebody to come to you and say, hey, nah, that's not the way we do it. But they have to also be receptive to it. But when they've been conditioned to respond in a negative way, I have to pick and choose who I'm going to approach, because that could be
they done made people put mind in their business back into full effect. You know what I mean? Because it's like you want to say something, but what's going to be their reaction when you say it?
Yeah. And now, I think there is a way, if you think about it, and if you have enough time to think about it, sometimes it's after the fact I think about the approach.
But see, that's the thing for me, right? Mm-hmm. Is that right there. I don't necessarily believe we got time to think about it. Like, man, some of these cats is out here they perkied out, they whatever they doing, you know what I mean? And I ain't got time to be trying to think, and I'm looking at the demon in your eye and you on pills and all that, and I'm supposed to be the rational one and think and hope I could talk about this situation. Nah, man.
Yeah, that's why I can still care.
I don't work well with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't work well with that. My nerves bad. You moving funny. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. And here's the thing that I in the community. So I went down to the police station a couple of weeks ago to talk to the community liaison officer as well. I've got a neighbor. I'm Navy. He's Marine. The other guy's Army. And, we talk, and he say, well, I asked him, what's
I could just imagine the backyard barbecues. Yeah.
So my boy said, that this house here, we got some neighbors that moved in, and this is the second time, is that, there's going to be some stuff going on this summer. And then he said, well, if you have to come over here, just follow the smoke, right? And you know what that means. He's going to light it up. So I go down to the police department, and I talk to the community liaison officer. And not only that, I have an apartment complex over there in the back of my house. The warm day, my windows are like banging, and a brother out there queuing it up. And I said, hey, I just gestured over there for him, turn it down. The brother turned it up. So I'm not stupid, but I said, hey, I went down to the police department and said, here's the addresses, and here's what went on. And we had another brother across the way that came out there with a cordless speaker lighting up the whole block or whatever. And I say, here's what's going on. Here's the addresses. Here's this, that, and the other. So if you can go over there now and send somebody over there now to talk to these people, or talk to Barada and talk to these people and say, we're not having that in our neighborhood. It's that simple. And we've also seen some markings of gangs. So what are you guys going to do about that? The men in the community have to be diligent enough to take care of the village. Mm-hmm. These are my kids. This is my sister. This is my mother. These are my brothers. How do we take care of each other? How do the men hold down the village? And that's what we've gotten away from, the village concept, where the men, you go down my block, you might see a piece of paper here and there, but the men, and especially myself, I'm down there in the alley, down the block, picking up the paper, and I don't want to see one woman out there touching that one piece of paper, because my mother didn't touch a piece of paper. When I used to walk her to the bus stop in the morning, and we would see some paper, she said, when you get back home and you go that way, make sure you pick that paper up. So we're a product of our environment. If we have the proper parental guidance and the men in the community to say, hey, we need to make a difference, and here's how we make a difference, is we make ourselves to be seen and to be known to be men, and to be able to go out here, and then we create this bridge to these young guys where they can come over and talk to us and say, hey, what's up? And what we should and what we could be doing and helping each other out. And we start closing that gap, and we can start talking to these young boys. I've mentored 2 kids that are Kia boys, one of them says, hey, I'm on the death list, if you will. And one of them is out of control. So until we get out here and we sit down and we understand exactly what these boys are going through and the peer pressure that's putting on them, and take some of it off of them, they're going to continue to go in that direction, because that's what they see at home and that's what they see at school.
Right.
Sensationalism, and that's what they see on the news.
Right.
Versus me passing out over 500 quick picks and cleaning up my block. They won't report that, but they will report when, you know, somebody come on my block and shoot it up.
Oh, they definitely gonna report that.
Yeah.
And they gonna report it in areas where people ain't from your block so that they can stay up out there.
Yeah.
Like, the people get the news different, man. Like, I've been in other areas and seen news on us that we didn't even see on us.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Call home like, man, what's going on? They like, what you talking about? And man, I'm down here and I'm watching the news. And
yeah. And I think that's why, you know, I choose not to watch the local news anymore. I mean, I can go down the street and say, hey, what's up? And hear what's up. So and I think that's the way, and I've said it before, is that we need to open the front door and walk outside and start talking to each other and communicate to each other what's going on so we can start solving our own problems. We don't need to watch their news. We are the news, and we make our news, and we can change the news to be positive if we participate. And we need leadership in this city that understands that. And in my opinion right now, we don't have the infrastructure and leadership in this city from all of whomever is black in office or whatever. I don't care how many of them you are. Nothing's changing. And you actually created something even worse because you are representative of me and my color.
right,
And you won't even talk to me.
right. Now, I know I do work with another team, Dream Team United MKE, with Miss Farina Brooks. And soon, I want to say maybe the end of this month, I'm not sure. I got to double check with her on the dates. She'll be coming back to the Garden Homes neighborhood, I believe, the park right there on 26 in Atkinson.
Okay.
And they be doing like a pop-up grocery giveaway and things like that. So I want to make sure that I connect you with her so that those elders you familiar with in the neighborhood that can't, you know, move about by themselves, that we make sure they get groceries whenever she come through there with them groceries.
Yeah. And I think the bigger picture is that I've lived in this community for 30 years, and I lived under different mayors. I lived under different Common Council representation. I've lived under Northwest Side CDC, Snyder, and now it's Willie Smith, 30th Street Corridor, Cheryl Blue, Safe and Sound. We've had all of these entities in the community, and just before Barrett left, he had his little kickoff party. He had all the blacks who are somebody or think that they're somebody over at Garden Homes Park, because we've had some abandoned housing over there that a white man has been able to get labeled as historical. For 30 years, there's nothing that's been done to those houses. So when we talk about disenfranchisement and the sources of dollar, when you come over here with all of these black people, even Pastors United, everybody was there. And they said, WIDA was there. They broke ground. We're going to fix these houses. But they've been telling me this for 30 years.
All they did was put some colorful boards up, some artwork on them. I be seeing that on a lot of these houses they supposed to work on. You go back and they board it up and they got stencil drawings on it.
Some of that's taking place, but I drove over there probably about a week ago, and it's like, is this it? What they've done? So I said that to say this, is that, and at one point in time as the Block Watch lead in the neighborhood, we held our our annual Block Watch cookouts over there. I had to move it because out of safety, because I'm not going to be responsible for something going off over there and one of these kids or someone gets shot. So we moved it to Lighthouse Community Center for years, because we can't put our kids or anybody else in harm's way.
Right.
And it was a beautiful thing. It would have been beautiful over there, but I don't have time to go over there and clean up the mess, if you will, or have these families come over there and get these book bags and this cookout and something go down. You know what I mean? So the area, I'm skeptical about the area, and I'm skeptical about anything that's done in the area because there's nothing long term. So what's the benefit of it? So what's the cost benefit of that? You know, you put in these resources and you give away something, but you don't change the dynamics of the neighborhood. You still haven't fixed the housing. There's been several projects over there to clean up the park, and yeah, it's clean, for a day, and you put in some equipment, but our elders can't even walk around that area, right, to get exercise, and some of them live in that area. That's my concern. So a quality of life that's conducive to producing and allowing our children to be children and our elders to be elders. I mean, right now in my garden home areas, my elders that I speak to, for the most part, very rarely or seldomly come outside. And they should be able to do that, especially in the summertime. So that's my concern. You can come over there and give out food, but we want more than food. You know, that's fine. We want jobs. We want these houses fixed up. We want the elements of destruction and corruption to be gone. Why hasn't that happened? You know, why are people still getting shot over there? Why are people still getting killed every year? Those are the questions that Ashanti Hamilton, Marvin Pratt, and now Andrea Pratt has to answer. But you're answering it when we know that you have a connection with the money over there. That's why things haven't changed.
All right.
And I've been through it and in it, so I don't, you know, people can come talk to me and whatever. That area I know, I don't know. I understand different demographics of the District 1 and how other parts of District 1 should look like other parts of District 1, the better parts. I mean, we can do a lot better, and we just haven't had leadership in our community in District 1 that has done the things that need to be done to change the environment and the nature of our neighborhoods. And I say that, and what I've realized through this run this time is that they're, in my opinion, they're trying to create this lack of a better word, this third world country, if you will, meaning that gentrification. So we gentrify, we re-gentrify, we move people in a certain area. And I think part of that area is District 1, that we move an element of people, drugs, alcohol, and this kind of stuff in that community that destroys it, because we have 2 schools in the system in District 1. One of them is on hold for the developers to come in and convert it into low-income, no-income housing. And they've got one project that they've already started where they're tearing out the infrastructure on the inside of the school to make it into apartments. And some of the neighbors are concerned that they did it when Ashanti Hamilton was in office, and they skirted it by them, and some of them didn't even know what was happening. So they're up there throwing all of this stuff out. They have on hazmat suits, but they're throwing stuff into the environment, and people in the neighborhood are breathing it. I just think there's a level of disrespect in the black community that is unwarranted, and that somebody should be doing something about. And we talk about our kids. You know, I drive straight up 60th Street, and I drive by, Brown Deer grade school, and right down the street, what do we have? Brown Deer Middle and High School. What did they do in the black neighborhood? They moving all of our schools out. So they're busing our kids when we're supposed to, and the Hmongs are creating their environment. I went to a meeting last year with Howard Fuller, and he had some of the Hmongs there, and they were telling us what they're doing with their school system. And they're building community-based schools. And we're not. We're taking schools out of our community, meaning that now we're separating our kids. You know, we used to go down the block and walk to school together. None of that. We have no more camaraderie in the neighborhood amongst kids. We grow up together, and we live together, and we help each other. They've taken that away. That element being taken out of our community is creating all of this chaos, confusion, corruption, irrational driving, murders, killings, and shootings. That's what's doing it. And until we get in there and start demanding from these people that are in office that, hey, no, we're not spending all this money downtown. What about ours? Right. What about they built this apartment on Villard, but the infrastructure around Villard is not conducive to family friendly. They've got old manufacturing facilities and areas where kids can go and get hurt. Well, when you build the infrastructure downtown, I see you building everything up around the Buck Center. Everything around.
Yeah, my brother Ram, Rick Maleen Muhammad, be on that. He don't like that at all. He always attacking what they're doing downtown as opposed to what they doing in his district too. He's down there in 6 in Malele's district.
So. I don't mind you doing stuff downtown, but give us some of that money too, and build our infrastructure where our kids have an equal opportunity to be better, and our elders can walk the streets. And they're building that downtown. I mean, I went downtown the other day. Man, my goodness gracious, I was down there on a warm day. I'm like, where are the black folks? Didn't see none. So I don't mind that, but we have to have the same level of infrastructure in the black community where we're walking around free and clear and have all of these entities and businesses that we support and they support us, and we can live comfortably. We don't necessarily have to integrate or whatever you were talking about. We can segregate just like they do. They have their own community. We can have our community. We just have to learn how to flourish within what we've got. And we have to build the infrastructure within the villages of our families to be better people and to treat us with love and respect and kindness, and figure out what's going on. Where are the jobs, and what should my kid be learning? Should I be at home cussing at them, or should we be in here reading a book to my kids? Or should I be getting my fingernails and get me some hair? Or what should I be doing to be able to change the environment of our culture? Because culturally, we are lost right now.
Man, I wonder, will we ever see it change? You know what I mean? Like, I know that for people that's fighting for change and things like that, all the leaders or whatever you want to call them, that I feel like they need to understand that what they fighting for is nothing they'll ever see. And I say that because history just done showed it. Be it King, be it X, be it whoever. Everybody that stood up and fought for something, man, whatever they fought for, if it even came a little bit, came after they was dead and gone.
I think Martin said he was one of the things that he feared is his dream becoming a nightmare. And if he was alive today, this is his nightmare. Yeah. So I think also in saying that is that we can see some of it. You're not going to see all of it, because I think in biblically speaking it says one, you plant a seed, somebody else water it, and this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's a process, but you can see the fruits of your labor, some of them, because I don't think God is that unmerciful that he's not going to give you something that you can say, hey, yes, thank you, right? There's always something to be thankful for. And I say that to say this is that, we've had people move on my block who were drug dealers, and another person moved in next door, and the police told us that, hey, you may have some people just moved in here that does some sex trafficking kind of stuff. I'm still standing. They're gone. Now, did it come at somewhat of a cost? Yeah, but I'm still alive. It's not nothing that's going to kill anybody. But when you come in my neighborhood and I come down there and give you a welcome packet and welcome to the neighborhood, and I tell you, hey, if shit, excuse my language, pop off, we calling the police. It's that simple. And we're gonna be doing it. So don't be afraid, or don't say anything, or when you play loud music or this happens, we want you to know that this is not the type of environment that we want to live in. We want to respect each other. So there is a level of respect, but you always have to be on your toes and P's and Q's to not chastise a brother, but just say, hey, we don't want to live like that. Can you just turn your music down a little bit? Can you not pop out your guns? Can you, we have to somehow or another be able to make them feel comfortable enough that we and they are approachable. And to order to start this level of change that we need to see, that I'm not going to necessarily see in my lifetime, but I am the change that I want to see.
All right. Man, we appreciate you stopping by as always, man, and the invitation always open. I mean, we just mentioned again, I want you to come up here with those finance papers and just do a breakdown. Let's educate me and everybody else on how we read and understand those things.
I mean, I didn't know anything about it, but I just said, hey, I have to do a campaign finance report, and I have to turn it into an election commission. It's open records. You go down there, you request them, you get them. So I say, I want to see, who's donating to these people, and what's the cause. And when I see the same names that are giving money to the blacks that are already in office that really haven't done their due diligence and done anything for my community, I'm concerned.
Yeah. Get the folks your social media information if they want to reach out to you.
It's the same.
Follow you and all that.
Vince Tony, look me up on Facebook. I've got 2 pages, one political, and I don't really go on the political page that much. But I do track, kind of sort of what I'm doing. If I see something or say something that I want people to be engaged in. And a lot of times is that I'm reaching out when I do put stuff on Facebook. A lot of times I'm just reaching out for brothers and sisters to chime in and to help a brother out, and if I can help you out, I'd be willing to do that. So it's, to me, Facebook is, if without that, I don't know if I would have any voice whatsoever in the community unless I knocked down some doors and broke some windows and get the media out there. But other than that, I think they've created an avenue where we can communicate with each other and let each other know what's going on. Because I don't watch the news. Somebody can, tell me and shoot me a text or email or whatever, and just let me know what's going on, because I refuse to watch the news.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you got this outlet, man, hittinghardradio.com, the Morning Shift MKE. You always welcome to come over here with any information for the community you want to get out.
Appreciate it.
No doubt. And y'all keep it locked, man. hittinghardradio.com, the Morning Shift MKE. We gonna get to the music. Hey, y'all can stay tuned. Top of the hour, Munchie mixes up. Let's go.
This is hittinghard.radio.com.